back to my booktube channel. My name is Lauren if you are new here, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I've recently accumulated, some of which I did receive for Christmas, but a good chunk of them I did buy for myself. But I have an excuse. I'm going to try to justify it. I bought them on New Year's Eve, so I figured I will end the year buying a stack of books before I go into my New Year's resolution, which is to not buy so many books, or at least finish the books that are on my TBR list before I buy new books. Book buying is kind of like a hobby of mine, so I don't know how well this is going to go, but I'm really trying to be better about that, so we will see. That is why I did allow myself to buy a stack of them on New Year's Eve, just to proactively fill the void that I'll be experiencing come the new year. So anyway, I did figure I'll start with the books that I got for Christmas. So every year I usually get a stack of books from my now husband for Christmas, and I basically just give him a list and then let him pick them. But the first one that I opened this year was Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason. And I mean, I knew this was going to be good. It has great reviews. But I've also been scrolling through Bookstagram a lot lately and have seen that this has been people's top book of 2021. So I'm very excited. I might bump this up to the next book I read after I'm done with The Book Thief, which is my current read. But this is basically a coming of age story about Martha. So it's kind of unique though, because she's actually 40 years old, whereas most coming of age stories I feel like are about teenagers or young adults. But anyway, Martha has an undiagnosed mental illness, and she is kind of just going through life with it. Everything's going well, she's coping with it until her husband leaves her, and she's kind of forced to face this undiagnosed mental illness that she has, as well as figure out, what is she going to do with her life now at age 40 when everything has changed suddenly. So that's all that I know about this. I think though that this is going to be one of my favorites for the year, because I've heard that her writing is beautiful, but also I've heard that you get really invested in the characters, and I love that in a book. So I know that's a big statement to say, but I have really high hopes for this because I've literally heard nothing bad about this. So next up is actually a YA novel, and it's You'll Be the Death of Me by Karen M. McManus. I think I've read everything that she's written so far except for this. One of Us is Lying is probably my favorite by her, and I was actually wary of even picking that up because it's a young adult novel, and I'm not huge on young adult. Some of them are fun to read and they're quick books, but they never faze me. I don't think I've ever really had a favorite that I've read, with the exception of, like I said, I'm reading The Book Thief right now, which is technically classified as young adult, but I think anybody would enjoy that. It does not strike me at all as a young adult novel. And I'm not through with that, but I do really love that so far. So that's an exception. But anyway, this is a story that follows kind of the same theme as all of her books. It's basically about a group of friends in high school, and they actually witnessed one of their classmates' murders, unfortunately. So this is just the story that ensues based on that. I don't know a lot about this, and I usually go into my thrillers or mysteries very blindly because I don't want to know a lot about it. I also, when I'm reading a thriller, tell me if you do this too, but I feel like some people try to figure it out, but I purposely just don't even think about it too hard because I want to be surprised. And I don't know, a lot of them I honestly probably wouldn't be able to figure out, because by the time I get to the end of the thriller, I'm like, I never would have thought about that. But just kind of fun to turn your brain off for a little bit and just read it without trying to figure everything out, because then you're surprised by the end of it. So that's what I'll do with this one. But I am excited about this because I loved all of her previous books, and also it's just a super quick read because it is YA, but it's always a fun ride. So that is You'll Be the Death of Me. And then another thriller I got was The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I'm expecting this to be a little bit gory because I have yet to read his other book. What is it called? The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. That was really choppy, but I think that's right. Anyway, I think that this will be probably a little bit on the gory side, so if you're not into that, you might want to pass this. But this is about a support group that has been meeting for over a decade now, and the support group consists of the final girls, which are basically the girls that survive murders, crimes, massacres. Basically, they are the last person standing after everybody has been killed off. And so this is a story about that support group, and then when a member of the support group goes missing, it kind of unravels this whole mystery and also fear within the group that somebody knows about their support group and is now trying to take them down one by one. So again, that is all I know because it is a thriller, but I think I'll like it. I'm not that picky about thrillers, and like I said, I usually don't figure them out purposely, so I'm usually pretty pleasantly surprised by thrillers' endings, which I feel like is the point. So those were the 3 books though that my husband got me for Christmas. And then, like I said, New Year's Eve, I went to Barnes & Noble, and I either don't buy anything, which is rare, or I buy like a whole stack. Like there's no in between. It's either nothing or binging. So probably a toxic trait of mine. But anyway, so one of the first books that I picked up when I was there was Mirrorland, and this was in their new release section. And I'm really proud of myself for picking this up because I've never heard of it, I've never seen it, and also it's so silly, but I rely on Goodreads reviews so sinking much, and I'm trying to kind of stray away from that because I want to pick up books that I enjoy without having to rely on what the rating was on Goodreads. Like sometimes I'll pass on a book that sounds very good to me because it has lower than like a 3.8, which I've gotten very picky. It's a shame, but anyway, this book though, I'm proud of myself for picking up because I didn't ever see it around, and I did look it up on Goodreads, but I still bought it even though I think it was like a 3.5, which is still a good rating, but I've just gotten so picky over the years. But I'm trying to explore books that just sound good to me. So this is one of them. I also really like the cover. I know it's really simple, but there's just something so like sleek about it. I don't know. But anyway, this is about 2 twin sisters, but they no longer talk to each other. And the one sister, Elle, actually lives in their childhood manor that they both had grown up in. But she lives there now with her husband, Ross. And the other twin is named Kat. She lives further away, but she hears one day that her sister has gone missing. So she goes back to the childhood manor, and her twin sister had actually left her a bunch of clues within the home to figure out what had happened to her. So I feel like it's gonna be like a little scavenger hunt almost within a book. So that sounds fun. It sounds good to me. I'm excited to read it. I mean, it has Stephen King's praises all over the back, as well as Ruth Ware, which I love her, and then Sarah Pinborough, which she wrote Behind Her Eyes, which was like a very wild thriller and that I really enjoyed. So anyway, it has a lot of authors' praises on the back, and I'm excited to see what I think of it. So that is Mirrorland. And then on a very different note, I guess, this book is This Close to Okay by Lisa Crossmith, and I was just trying to figure out what the 2 main characters' names are. So we have Tally and Emmett. Okay, so Tally, this is a story about pretty much an unexpected friendship when Tally comes across Emmett nearly killing himself. He is standing like on the edge of a bridge, ready to jump, but Tally stops him from doing that, and I think they spend like just one weekend together. I may be wrong, but I think it's based on like a very short period of time. But they spend a weekend together, or however long it may be, and a friendship blossoms from there. And of course, Emmett certainly needed saving, but I think it's also about how Emmett has now changed Tally's life in ways that she didn't even know she needed. So I feel like this is going to be a very kind of like a hopeful and heartwarming story, even though it starts off on a sad note, but I feel like this will end happy. So I'm excited about this. I've also heard a lot of good things about it, so I keep seeing it around and I just never picked it up until now, but that's This Close to Okay. Also, I got this book, which I am so excited about because it sounds so cute, and it's called The 100 Years of Lenny and Margo, and it's kind of funny because I actually had a dog named Lenny, and right now I have a dog named Margo. It initially drew me in, to be honest, but it also sounds very good. It is by Marion Crown, and also the cover is very pretty. So it is about another unexpected friendship, actually, but it's about a friendship that blossoms in a hospital. Actually, it is about a 17-year-old named Lenny, and then she meets Margo, who is I think 83, 80s, and they are both in the hospital. Lenny's on a terminal ward because she does have a terminal disease at such a young age, unfortunately. But she meets Margo, they become friends, and they actually make like a display of 100 paintings that go over like their entire lives. So I don't know, it sounds very interesting. It's just about a friendship that blossoms, and I love a good like age gap friendship. Not really an age gap romance, not that into that, but this is totally different. An age gap friendship. I think it's because I love old people. I work in a nursing home, so I don't know, I just like seeing different generations bond together. So that is this book. I feel like this will be like a tearjerker, but in a good way, so very excited about that. And then I just have two more. I'll talk about this one. This is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I have been looking for this book literally everywhere. And I mean, I could order it online, but I did want instant gratification and I wanted to pick it up in stores. So I bought it in like the mass market paperback, which I don't think there's a regular paperback available. So this was my only option. I hate mass markets, but that's beside the point. I'm just gonna trudge through it. I want to read this soon because it does take place in the winter time during a snow blizzard, and it is about a college student named Darby. She is traveling home to visit her mom for the holidays, and she gets stranded during a blizzard. So she stops at like a truck stop, and when she's coming out of it, she sees that a little girl is in the back of a van in an animal cage. So she takes it upon herself to see what's going on, who is trapping this little girl and why, and how can she save the little girl. So that's what this is about. Super excited. I've heard very, very good things about it. So I think that this one I'm definitely going to read within January or February. I feel like that's a perfect time to read it. And I've also, like I said, been looking for it everywhere. So I've been wanting to read this for a long time. So we'll see what I think about this. And then lastly, I'm going to totally butcher the pronunciation of this, but it is The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. And it is by Zoraida Cordova, which I'm sure these are all very beautiful names. And I'm just not pronouncing them correctly, but I kind of think, I'm not a huge fan of fantasy, and I don't think I realized that this was fantasy. I thought it was more like magical realism, but I think it's actually very heavy on the fantasy, so we'll see what I think about it. I'm definitely still going to give it a try. I did get it 50% off at Barnes & Noble though, so that was amazing. It's like 13 bucks. And of course the cover's beautiful. That's like, I don't even need to say that. I love the artwork. But it's about basically a like matriarch of a family passes away and she leaves an inheritance, and it's kind of just like the mystery behind there's a bunch of family secrets, but why she had left the inheritance for who she left it for. That is all that I know about it. But when I started reading reviews, I realized that it was so heavy on the fantasy, so I'm a little bit nervous about this because it's just not my genre. But like I said, I'm definitely going to give it a go, and it's short enough that I can also breeze through it, so we will see what I think of it. Maybe this will get me into fantasy. So that is that. And then I did pick up, I'll just mention it because I don't have the physical copy, but anybody that knows me knows I'm like a huge fan of Golden Girls, and of course Betty White sadly passed away a couple days ago, so I did actually buy her book that she wrote called If You Ask Me, and then it says like in parentheses, but you probably won't, or something like that. And I bought that. It's been hard to find because everybody's trying to buy Betty White's book now, but I do plan on reading that. I am not a nonfiction person at all, so the fact that I even bought that just shows my love for Betty White, because I don't read that kind of thing typically. But I'm excited. It looks like there's a bunch of good quotes in it from her. And I think it just talks about how, like, what her life has been like and her kind of like tips for aging well and living a good life. So I'm excited for that to come in the mail. And then that is everything. And I'm going to take a freaking break from buying books because I don't need any more, let alone all the ones that are like here on my floor. I have more here. I have a bookshelf. I have another bookshelf out there. I'm creating a library, which is my goal, but I think I need to calm down a little bit with the book buying. So anyway, that is all for today. If you made it this far, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.